Horses are born to run. They're on their feet within minutes of birth. They live for the gallop, for the closeness of the herd. The racehorse, Gleaming Key, carried his riders to victory 11 times, and often to place or show in 44 starts. The blood of native dancer, man o' war, war admiral, and bold ruler flowed in his veins. He knew his job, and he did it well. When his racing career came to an end, he earned a leisure retirement as Checkmate, a pleasure horse, cantering the bridle path, turning out with his stable mates, until his owner could no longer afford to keep him, and the stable owners claimed him in lieu of board. Checkmate was orphaned. He received very little attention and spent most of his time alone in his stall without the company of other horses. His home became a prison. Days rolled into weeks and months as his care dwindled. Turnouts became fewer. A few years later, he no longer resembled the successful racehorse that he had been. He became fearful of going outside and of being with other horses. His appetite waned, and the light faded from his eyes. And that's when they found him. 2 high school students named Kate and Kate. Volunteers at Field of Dreams discovered him. They saw beyond the skinny frame, the dull coat, and sad eyes. They saw a horse they could help, a horse that could be saved. They called in Field of Dreams, who saw the same hopeful future they had seen. Field of Dreams brought Checkmate into their outreach program and began with veterinary services, vaccinations, farrier care, and a carefully regulated diet and frequent visits to groom him and provide him with human love and affection. After a short time, Field of Dreams arranged for an interim home for Checkmate at a private backyard barn. He now had a living arrangement allowing him to remember what it was to be a horse, to go outside and play, to graze in fresh grass and clover, and best of all, to remember what it was like to have someone care. Checkmate soon learned that grass outside his stall was a fine thing to eat. The door was left open so he could venture out and sample it as he put his fears behind him. As the summer progressed, Checkmate ventured farther out and farther for longer periods of time. By the end of summer, Checkmate was back to a healthy weight, and the light in his eyes had returned. Field of Dreams volunteers and the 2 Kates continued to visit and groom him. Now, Checkmate was ready for the next phase of his rehabilitation. In the fall, Checkmate was moved to the main Field of Dreams facility so he could get used to being with other horses and become accustomed to the busy routine of a stable. This transition was handled with patience and sensitivity. New experiences were introduced slowly and carefully to make sure that at no time was Checkmate uncomfortable or frightened. At first, he was turned out by himself for short periods of time, always brought back to the security of his stall whenever he appeared anxious. Soon, he was staying out all day, like the other horses at the Field of Dreams facility. Then he was turned out with his stable buddy, Ryder. And finally, he was turned out with the rest of the horses. Once again, he felt the welcome closeness of the herd. He made friends fast. After spending so much time in a small stall, he took full advantage of the space he had, trotting and cantering about, reliving those glorious racing days, and often getting his buddies to join in. But the best news of all was that 6 months after Checkmate arrived at the Field of Dreams facility, he was adopted. He has a loving family, excellent care, and can look forward to many delightful years ahead. Thanks to all the volunteers who helped him on his journey, he couldn't be happier. Field of Dreams is working hard to help the other checkmates that are out there, returning dignity and comfortable days for a lifetime of loyalty. We understand. Horses are born to run.